Known as Penguin 1, or Turtle, America's Antarctic snow cruiser was developed in the late 1930s to serve Byrd's third Antarctic expedition, funded by the US Navy. Its designer, Thomas Poulter, had been second in command of the second expedition and sought to use his experience in the icy South to create an all-terrain vehicle that could face Antarctica's unique challenges for the next expedition. After the fanfare's departure from Boston Army Wharf, it arrived in Antarctica in early 1940 to grave disappointment. An embarrassing moment occurred when the vehicle was thrown from its ram during unloading. However, Poulter powered up the cruiser and successfully touched down on the ice to the cheers of those present. The jubilation, though, was short-lived, as the cruiser's great Goodyear tires spun uselessly in the snow. Even with modification, the only successful treks Penguin 1 took were driven in reverse. A slow, complicated, and taxing process to say the least. The cruiser eventually became a stationary home for the American Antarctic researchers until the expedition was abandoned with America's entry into the Second World War. The snow cruiser would be buried by the shifting snow and lost after two subsequent rediscoveries by American scientists in the decades that followed. 18 years later, the Soviet Union was looking to catch up in terms of Antarctic exploration. The Russians were late to the game, only beginning the groundwork for an official expeditionary base in 1956. While in many cases this lagging competition would be a serious disadvantage, Soviet scientists and engineers had over 2 decades worth of trial and error from other nations to work with when they set out to design their snow cruiser. Originally produced in Kharkov in Ukraine, the Kharkovchanka, literally Woman of Kharkov, saw its first Antarctic use in 1959. Based on the well-proven all-terrain ATT tractor platform, the Kharkovchanka demonstrated exceptional suitability for the unique challenges of Antarctic exploration. While the American snow cruiser featured smooth tires akin to a dune buggy, the Kharkovchanka opted for dual tank treads powered by an impressive V12 diesel engine. The ATT heavy artillery tractor chassis was proven in the marshy Russian tundra since World War II, but it wasn't quite capable of jumping feet first into Antarctica without special modification. In the unforgiving environment near the South Pole, where temperatures often dropped below the freezing point of diesel fuel, the ATT tractors sent to prepare Murney Station required open flames to defrost fuel lines and lacked substantial heaters or insulation, making the makeshift bulldozers more similar to gigantic ice boxes than cozy shelters. Just before we continue with today's video, let me tell you about our fantastic sponsor. Look, have you ever found yourself stressing over online security or ever worry that your online activity is going to slip into the wrong hands? Well, fret not, because Surfshark has your back. Surfshark is the superhero your internet world needs to keep you safe. And the best part, using Surfshark is incredibly easy. Seriously, even your grandma could navigate it. With just a click, you're off to searching the virtual wave securely. And also, who said staying private had to break the bank? With Surfshark, you get all those fancy VPN perks without the hefty price tag. Your pockets will thank you. And for you regular travelers out there, Surfshark ensures you get a slice of home wherever you watch. Watch your favorite shows, unblock websites, and snag those awesome deals no matter where life takes you. And the cherry on top, Surfshark adds security as well. From breach alerts to antivirus protection, they've got it all. Now, for the tech enthusiasts, Surfshark boasts 3,200 plus servers worldwide, GPS spoofing on Android, and a kill switch for accidental disconnects. And did I mention that you can use it on unlimited devices with one subscription? Now for the best part. Use promo code MEGA for an exclusive winter deal, up to 6 additional months for free. Just head to surfshark.deal/mega. You don't want to miss out on this. And now back to today's video. These challenges were relayed to the Kharkov Transport Engineering Plant, and the engineers there developed and produced the first Kharkovchanka ATVs in just 3 months. One may expect such a hastily designed vehicle to be doomed to failure, but the massive 28 by 11 foot self-contained snow cruiser would remain active in Antarctica for the next 5 decades. The vehicle's living quarters were ingeniously designed, allowing a crew of up to 8 to service the vehicle from inside the specially insulated cabin while navigating the harsh Antarctic snowscape. The powerful V12 engine could utilize 2 superchargers to output a maximum of 900 horsepower, plowing through deep snow and climbing steep grades. One noticeable drawback of the initial design was the noise of the large engine, which was placed next to the crew quarters. However, this issue turned out to be a strength in a strange way. Simply idling the engine provided ample and occasionally over-ample warmth for its occupants. This 30 metric ton behemoth could pull up to 60 tons and was equipped with a crane capable of lifting up to 20 tons. Entry from the rear led to a small vestibule branching off into the drying room and workshop, the toilet, or the main living quarters where crew members both ate and bunked. The galley sat behind a small cubicle dedicated to radio equipment. The kitchen included both an electric stove and a special kettle for turning snow into potable drinking water. Ahead of the radio room was the navigator's station, featuring a unique domed window offering a 360-degree vantage point without leaving the protection of the vehicle. To the left of the navigator was the driver's cockpit, which included a pair of bunks positioned behind the driver's seat. In between them sat the internal portion of the vehicle's engine and 4 specially heated windows equipped with heavy-duty wipers, providing a clear view of the terrain in front of the massive ATV. While the Kharkovchanka lacked amphibious capabilities, its watertight hull enabled it to traverse seawater slush, navigating depths as deep as the massive tank treads. During testing in Ukraine, the colossal vehicle achieved speeds of 35 miles per hour. Although designers recognized the impracticality of such speeds in Antarctica's dense snow, they took pride in the vehicle's relative ease of movement. The wool-wrapped interior provided an impressive 323 square feet, 30 square meters, comparable to the size of a one-bedroom apartment in the Soviet Union. Some of these are actually still in use in Russia and the former Soviet bloc today. Even if heating systems or the engine failed, the dense and effective insulation ensured the massive ATV would only lose 1 or 2 degrees Celsius per day when properly sealed. While not pulling a sled, it could cover up to 935 miles on a single fueling. These capabilities were tested in a daring mission by Soviet researchers, a journey of over 3,100 miles from Vostok Station to America's Amundsen-Scott base across the pole. For the extensive journey, all 5 Kharkovchankas that had been delivered to Antarctica equipped 2 sleds each with additional fuel and supplies intended for Komsomolsk and Vostok stations, the last human habitation between the South Pole and American territory. While 2 snow cruisers remained in Vostok, resuming work duties, 3 pressed on. In their co-authored memoir titled Antarctica, researchers Alexander Draukin and Nikolai Grushinsky recounted the experience of plowing through the endless white landscape to the west of Vostok Station, a region considered some of the least understood terrain on Earth. Quoting, "A boundless snow ocean ahead of us, while behind lay 2 deep furrows left by our off-road vehicles. They were made where no man had ever reached. We thought that they connected us to our friends at Murney Station. Moving to the pole, we didn't feel alone. We were in constant radio contact with the Murney and Vostok stations, and we always knew what was happening on the mainland." Draukin also discussed some of the issues with those early models. By 870 kilometers into the trip, 160 track pins were broken. Fuel consumption ranged from 9.6 to 12 liters per 1 kilometer. The average speed was in the range of 4.2 to 6 kilometers an hour. The main engine worked well, but there was poor oil cooling. Despite a rather abysmal fuel consumption rate of 2.5 gallons per half mile and less effective cab insulation than promised, the Kharkovchanka upheld other promises in its design. The crew rarely needed to exit the vehicle, aside from refueling from the external tanks that each ATV pulled behind them or collecting snow for drinking water. One exception was the periodic stop every 125 miles to take seismic readings before continuing. The first polar crossing encountered only one emergency. An antenna mast attached to the roof of one of the vehicles snapped during a particularly fierce storm. Fortunately, the expedition had the foresight to bring it back up, and with easy access to the roof via a rooftop hatch, the new antenna was swiftly installed, allowing the journey to resume. These beasts traveled from Murney Station in the east to Amundsen-Scott base in the west. A warm reception from their American counterparts led to a well-deserved 3-day rest. During this time, the Soviet and American flags flew side by side at Amundsen-Scott. The Russians were treated to a traditional American breakfast shortly after their arrival: cold cereal with milk, pork chops, scrambled eggs, and fried potatoes. In return, the Soviet researchers prepared a typical Russian breakfast the next morning. Such cultural exchanges were rare during the Cold War, but these moments showcased the international camaraderie among scientific professionals despite growing tensions between the home nations. The Russians would leave on the 29th, planning to make some stops in British and Australian territory before returning to Lazarev Station in Russian territory. These plans were quickly scrapped as the crew was tired from the first crossing. With a hearty farewell, the 3 Russian ATVs made the return journey to Murney Station, the round trip taking a total of 89 days. A persistent challenge with the Kharkovchanka, similar to early diesel-electric submarines, was the placement of the massive V12 engine within the living quarters. This configuration subjected the crew to constant noise, occasional fumes, and accumulating soot over extended journeys. Armed with practical knowledge, Soviet engineers revisited the design. Despite these challenges, the early model Kharkovchanka continued in active service with substantial modifications until 2010. 1910, serving as the primary mode of Antarctic transportation until the introduction of the Kharkovchanka 2 model in 1975. The Kharkovchanka 2 marked a significant departure in design from its predecessor, resembling more the ATT tractors used for hauling artillery equipment than the earlier boxy motorhomes on tank treads. The front cab, where the driver sat, was now disconnected from the living quarters, addressing issues of noise and soot previously experienced inside the vehicle. This new design also allowed for the installation of a larger engine, boosting the second generation's power production by almost 100 horsepower. Additionally, smaller generators were included to keep the cabin warm and run equipment during stops or in case the main engine failed. With updated equipment, a smoother ride, improved living conditions, and enhanced insulation, the Kharkovchanka 2 became the preferred method for long-distance transport between Russian bases. Meanwhile, the first generation continued to serve in scientific, hauling, and construction roles, their mass and power being utilized to clear snow, create runways for incoming planes, and erect structures for new camps or ice-boring missions. Although many Gen 1 models were gradually abandoned near bases, succumbing to the shifting ice and snow, number 22 remained in active service until 2010. Just before its removal from active duty, this snow cruiser underwent a full restoration and can be seen near Russia's Antarctic Progress Station, a functioning testament to the Soviet Union's exploration and scientific achievements in Antarctica. While Kharkovchanka 2 sightings still occur, most are mothballed near major Russian Antarctic bases, ready to deploy their powerful engines or heated shelters if needed in the future. As of 2016, second-gen models were still in active use, pulling large sleds across the Antarctic, and they've never been officially removed from service. However, the majority of Russia's Antarctic fleet today is composed of larger and more modern vehicles. In the late 70s, heavily modified Vityaz ATVs took on the Kharkovchanka's hauling duties in Antarctica. Many of these vehicles remain in active duty, boasting advancements such as full amphibious capabilities and specialized engines for high-altitude, low-oxygen conditions. Often referred to as snowcats, modern Antarctic exploration vehicles like the German-designed piston bully or power bully are smaller, quicker, and more efficient. Originally designed for heavy plowing work in the Alps, they are also easily adaptable for various missions, built with on-the-job modifications in mind. Their rear flatbeds can haul dozens of tons of supplies, accommodate specialized equipment, or house mobile housing for researchers. The Kharkovchanka's impressive blend of power, resilience, and adaptability positioned it as a formidable workhorse in the Antarctic, leaving an indelible mark on the icy expanse with its commanding presence. Despite the challenges faced by the first-generation models, they remained unwavering in their duties, playing pivotal roles in scientific endeavors, hauling tasks, and construction projects. Each contributed significantly to the unfolding narrative of human exploration in Antarctica. With its pioneering journeys and versatile capabilities, the Kharkovchanka emerged as a symbol of scientific solidarity in Antarctica. Its role in fostering collaborative research, occasionally serving as a shared resource among nations, and the camaraderie cultivated during joint expeditions all contributed to nurturing a spirit of unity and cooperation among researchers from diverse backgrounds. Repeatedly, Antarctic research bridges geopolitical boundaries in the pursuit of scientific knowledge on the icy continent. As the Kharkovchanka era gradually concluded with the advent of more modern vehicles, its legacy endures. The memory of these colossal machines and the daring researchers who embarked on groundbreaking journeys with them serves as a guiding light for future generations of explorers. Beyond its engineering marvels, the Kharkovchanka embodies the indomitable human spirit, persistently pushing boundaries and challenging the limits of what can be achieved. Looking toward the future, the spirit of the Kharkovchanka lives on, fostering curiosity and determination among explorers venturing to the farthest reaches of our planet.